Hi, good evening, everyone. And it is my absolute pleasure to be back on yet another session of our AGF Educators Fellowship. And in our next session today, we have with us a very decorated principal, Dr. Namita Sharma. So, it is our absolute honor to welcome you to the next session of AGF Educators Fellowship, ma'am. And the theme for today's session is compassionate and inclusive classrooms. So, Dr. Namita Sharma has nearly 30 years of experience in education. And out of that, 18 years of transformative leadership as the founder principal of Queens Valley School, Dwarka. Dr. Sharma has not only shaped academic excellence, but she's also nurtured holistic development, fostering inclusive, value driven, and future ready learning environments. Dr. Sharma's dedication to implementing MEP 2020, SUFFLE, CBIL, VBIL, and 21st century skills reflect her commitment to reimagining education in this 21st century. And that's what I think we are all here for today. Her emphasis on innovation, design, and entrepreneurship has empowered countless students to become critical thinkers, problem solvers in this ever changing and fast evolving world. So, Dr. Sharma, your recent recognition, we are so delighted to share with our educators that your recent recognition with the State Award 2024 for educational excellence is a testament to your visionary leadership, compassion, and unwavering dedication to empowering both the educators as well as the learners. So, we are really looking forward to gaining insights from your leadership today, the philosophy that you share, one that prioritizes inclusivity, lifelong learning, and holistic well being. So, welcome once again, and over to you.
Thank you so much, not just Shami and Aarti ji. A big thanks to Enan. Enan appreciated me for pushing the children in that direction, but I would appreciate the effort being taken up by Enan, which basically gave our children a platform to polish their life skills. We as facilitators, teachers have always tried to give our children different aspects and different fields. But when it comes to experiential learning, I think that is the work which Anand is doing. And that is the call of the hour. I think each one of us would agree on that yes. And Anand has been kind enough. She said that it is basically difficult to select children, but I would say that it is, yes, it is difficult for me to pull down on the number of children because Anand puts a tab on it. Not everyone can be there. But yes, if it comes to me, I would love the entire set of queens to be a part of your internships as well as the programs that you take up. And today I can proudly see and say that quite a large number of queens are still working after leaving schools. They're alumni and they are working with Enon, and very, very happy about it. So thank you. I take this platform and this opportunity to thank you people for the kind of work you are doing. And yes, when we speak of inclusivity, here that inclusivity which you people have shown, and I think all of us present over here have been in some way or the other associated with Enon. So you would understand the kind of inclusivity they give to all our children. So the topic that we have or hold in hand today is inclusivity and a compassionate classroom. The two terms go together, inclusive and compassionate. And as teachers, if we look at it, they are both inseparable. So the first thing that comes to mind is that why do we need to be inclusive? Because there is diversity. And as Indians, who understands diversity better than us? But when on a very general level, we speak of inclusivity from the education point of view, the first thing that comes to our head is, can someone write in the chat box? When we speak of inclusivity in education, the first term that comes to mind is CWSN. children with special needs. But when we speak of inclusivity at a larger level, it is all about how well the differences or the diversities which are there in my classroom, am I able to gel together? Am I able to pull together? Am I able to value and respect as a teacher? Then if I speak of this kind of an inclusivity, जहां मेरी क्लास जो एक वेरिड क्लास है, डाइवर्स क्लास है, उसको मैंने सबको इकट्ठा करके एक रूफ के अंदर एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे इंक्लूड कैसे करके चली. That is how I moved in my class. That's the topic on which we would discuss today. The basic tool with the help of which I do this is compassion. When we speak of compassion, it is not just, it's basically a holistic kind of a term wherein I stand in the shoes of that child or that individual and think from his or her point of view. That is when I'm able to not just show my compassion, but my love also. So when we can stand in their shoes and condition them to move in our class. So the challenge, I think all of us would agree, that the challenge that as teachers we face today is having a large variety in our class. Yes, that challenge almost each one of us faces. And as teachers, we do not even have a right to say that I have a large class wherein at least a number of 40 children in my class, 40 varieties, whom all should I attend to? I am supposed to be attending to each one of them. Each parent expects, when you sit in a PTM or a parent-teacher meeting, the parent sits in front of you expecting that you know the child as well as you know yourself or the other child. So under those circumstances, inclusivity comes in, and that too with compassion. And if we are able to create an inclusive classroom, I think our work is done. What do you see in this slide? 4 chicks of the same kind, almost similar, different actions, different expressions. And another one is also a chick, but is black. So that's one way of showing some kind of a difference that exists in my class. And the basic thing which the United Nations says is, it is good to be different, but it is bad to be treated differently. Though we are all unique, each one of us sitting here in this session, each one of us is a different individual, though essentially we are all teachers. All of us are teachers of one kind or another, somebody teaching life skills, somebody teaching children of a specific subject, somebody something else, but we are all teachers, but we are different. So would you appreciate if somebody teaches, because you are a unique individual, somebody treats you differently? No. We would like to be treated as everyone else at a broad level as a human being. That's what we expect in a classroom too. Individual characteristics, and that is why, because of the individual characteristics, we know we are different, but we don't like to be treated differently. So that's where the work of a teacher comes. So now how compassion works over here with the students as well as with the parents, because it is through compassion that you are able to overcome these differences. You as a teacher understand them, you as a teacher connect with them, but you do not highlight them. You integrate them into your classroom. So that is why we say that we are all unique, we are all different, but we will not be treated or we will not accept differential treatment. You see a set of hands, each hand representing a different kind of an individual. And that is what our class is generally like. I would have people from different religions. I would have people from different faiths. I would have people with different abilities at the physical level. Maybe somebody has some kind of a physical disability in the leg or in the arm. And sometimes even as teachers, we face children who are prodigies. We face children who are average. We even face children with lower IQ. And then the ones who are specially require to be brought up into the inclusive scenario is children with special needs. not just at physical level, but also at the mental level. And I think as teachers, each one of us is a special educator. You agree with me? Each one of us is a special educator. A thumbs up for that, in case we agree. Yes, we all are special educators in our own form. Our B.Ed gives us that kind of a training. Our experience over the years gives us that kind of a training. And then most of us, if we are mothers, we ourselves are special educators, because a mother is a one who is by nature, the moment her child is born, that special educator in her wakes up and she experiments that special education on her child. And then finally, as teachers, we've been by Lord God given this opportunity, given this noble task to include everyone, all these diversities and everything into our classroom and unite the whole scenario and create an inclusive classroom. And if as a teacher, I'm able to create an inclusive classroom, then that's the success of my work. The basic problem that each one of us faces is, or maybe when our management tests us as teachers, or when our principal checks upon our being a successful teacher or not, is the learning outcomes. And as a good teacher, or as in almost all of us have good grades, we've all studied, we've all earned our degrees. Now, as a teacher, if I am good in my classroom and I'm able to give I give the best of myself, but what I see is that each child doesn't respond in the same way. The learning outcomes are different. So, what exactly would be the reason for that? The basic reason is that I'm a good teacher, I have knowledge, I'm able to reach out to my children, I even have good content developed. But my problem is that my class is not an inclusive class, wherein each child is not participating in my class. So today we are going to look at it, that how as a teacher can I create an inclusive class, though I'm not trained as a special educator. I may not have studied psychology except for what I have studied in my B.Ed. But because I'm a teacher who's done her B.Ed, who has the experience, who also by nature I think most of us are females sitting over here. So again, the advantage is that Lord God has made us with that biology, wherein that basic instinct, that basic compassion, that basic teacher is there in each one of us. So the only requirement is to look at our potentials, the tools that we have, and the environment in which we have been put by the Almighty, as well as by our principal or by our management, how we are there in that scenario. Now, the question that comes to me is, or that comes to my head is, that we are all teaching in some school or the other, teaching different levels of classes, that I generally as a teacher question myself that can I do it? Every year, a new challenge, a new set of children, a new set of personalities, a new set of at least 40 individuals in my class. My previous year's experience just guides me, but it is not going to help me plan my class. So under those circumstances, what do? I question myself as my role as a teacher in the class. Then I question myself that can I do it? Will I be able to handle it? And all above that, the most important thing is the challenges which we face today. The children we were, the children who are our children, and the children who were when we started our careers were very different from the children whom we teach today. I think we all agree to that, that yes, the entire there's been a generation change. And who better would know? We've all been teachers through the COVID. So our children today are even bigger challenges. So each child, their smartness. I personally always love to say that the children who are coming to us today have computer chips set inside. They are totally AI maneuvered, and they are totally more intelligent and more quick than us. They are almost a generation ahead. I recently read somewhere that the present generation is the beta generation. Was the alpha, then in January, we started with a beta. So, but again, we need to remember that each one of us would have an age gap of at least 20 years from our children who are there in our classes, at least 20, 25 years. So whatever the circumstances, may they be the beta generation, may they be the Gen X, may they be anything, they cannot be smarter than us. And for that, we need to keep ourselves abreast. We all go through CBPs. That is, we are doing our capacity buildings in our schools. 50 hours of training, each one of us. So those small trainings, those small things give us tools, equip us with things which we can wrap in our compassion as a human being and as a person who needs to remember that we have been given a beautiful task. You know, I always say that we do social work, though we are paid for it. It's big work that we are doing because each one of us or each soul that we touch today is a soul who's going to go into the future, frame a family, form a family, take it ahead, and also contribute to the nation. So the roots for that are laid down in an inclusive classroom. So let's all together create an inclusive classroom today. Try to create, try to do it virtually today, and then go home, go to our schools and implement it. So, and all wrapped in love and compassion. I would like you to move to the next slide, please. So the question at hand is inclusivity and inclusion. What is it? It is a sense of belonging, feeling respected and valued for who you are. When I speak of inclusion for myself, that when the other person understands who I am and values me for what I am. Same is the case with you. You would also like your school to do it for you, your staff room, your entire community to do it for you. And similarly, our children also expect the same from us. Then feeling a level of supportive energy and commitment from others so that we can do the best work. So, as teachers, your commitment and your supportive energy is going to help your children to be included in the classroom. You know, when your classroom is an inclusive classroom, that is when no parent comes and complains to you that बच्चे का स्कूल आने का मन नहीं करता. आज the child cried before coming to school in the morning. So how do you check whether your classroom is an inclusive classroom or not? Whether you practice inclusivity or not? At every level of our life, at every step, every stage, starting from the gate to the peons, to the staff room, and to my class. Inclusivity has to be the keyword, again, wrapped in compassion and wrapped in love. Now the question comes is why inclusion? Why inclusivity when we speak of a classroom or when we speak of our students? As it is important to acknowledge that each child is unique in terms of physical abilities and mental capacities, and also has a preferential learning style. So, dear teachers, as teachers, we always need to remember every time you go to your classroom, remember that you are going and handling and touching upon souls where each one of them is different at the level of his or her mental ability and is also different at the level of his or her physical ability. So, अगर आप इन डिफरेंसेस को याद रखते हुए अपनी क्लास में जाते हैं तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली बहुत पॉजिटिव एंड बहुत ज्यादा कंपैशनेट होके जाएंगे. हमारे साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, वी एंटर द रोल ऑफ अ टीचर एंड क्लास में जाके हम वो रोल प्ले करते हैं. हमें वो रोल प्ले नहीं करना है, हम सिर्फ एक फैसिलिटेटर हैं जो क्लास में जाके उन बच्चों को अपनापन और इंक्लूजन का एक एनवायरनमेंट देते हैं थ्रू आवर टीचिंग एंड थ्रू आवर बीइंग देयर. Hence, when we look at the diversities, I would like to spell out the diversities for you again. And I think each one of you already knows कि मेरी क्लास में ये सब कुछ है. मेरी क्लास में अलग अलग तरह के ह्यूमन बींग्स हैं, मेरी क्लास में अलग अलग रेसेस हैं, अलग अलग तरह की एथनिसिटी है, जेंडर्स अलग हैं, जेंडर आइडेंटिटी अलग है, देन उनकी सेक्सुअल ओरिएंटेशंस आजकल बहुत प्रोमिनेंट है. आजकल मीडिया, आजकल ये चीजें, छोटे बच्चों को छोड़ो, छोटे बच्चों में तो आपको दिखेगा एज नेचुरली, बड़े बच्चे इसे लीगलाइज करते हैं. There's so much going around in the form of different movements and different acceptances at the different level, and especially amongst teenagers. So they have and they love to speak about their sexual orientations. Then other than this, in India, हमें गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत सारे एज लिमिटेशंस करी हैं. नर्सरी में एज लिमिटेशन है एट द प्राइमरी लेवल 3 years, but still urban areas have that. Rural areas do not have. You move to Haryana, you move to Uttar Pradesh, all of us come from different places. We would see that some love to send their children late to school. उन्हें लगता है कि 3-4 साल का बच्चा अभी बहुत छोटा होता है. 7 years, 6 years, send them to school late. So under those circumstances, and then under the right to education, you enter any class, whatever your mental level, whatever your level, as per your age, whether you've gone to school or not before that. So you'll have different age groups in your class, different social backgrounds in your class, different physical attributes. कोई बहुत लंबा है, कोई छोटा है, फिर एक दूसरे को चिढ़ाते हैं, एक दूसरे की acceptance नहीं है. Then different religious groups, different nationalities. In at least in Delhi or in urban areas, we have that people from different walks of life, people from Africa, people from different countries in Africa, people from Afghanistan, from Zambia, and many other countries, because we have embassies around. You'll find them, people with different beliefs. When we speak of children, हमें लगता है कि beliefs शायद नहीं होते होंगे. But I think most of us nowadays face different beliefs in the classrooms. Parents have their orientations and parents transfer them to the children. इसलिए अलग-अलग faiths और अलग-अलग beliefs and अलग-अलग disabilities आपको एक ही class में मिलती हैं. Now comes an inclusive classroom. The biggest challenge that a teacher has, you overcome this and you are going to be the most successful teacher around. And the most popular one also. You do not need to be a less strict teacher. You do not need to be a very lovey-dovey teacher. You just need to be an inclusive teacher, a teacher who creates an inclusive classroom. The soul of an inclusive classroom is its teacher, who has the potential to touch every heart in her class. And I think as a teacher, the most important thing in our lives is that when I go home every day, I sit back and introspect that how many souls and how many hearts have I been able to touch. If I touch even a single heart today, I've been successful today as a teacher. And that you are able to do in an inclusive classroom. Because the role that we have been given today, that we have taken upon ourselves, is of a guru, is of a guide, is of a facilitator, is of a mentor. I am not the learner. Neither I am there to make the children learn. I am there to facilitate, develop, and bring out the potentials which my children have. मेरे बच्चों को भगवान ने हर तरह से किसी ना किसी तरह का पोटेंशियल दे के भेजा है. अगर एक डिसेबिलिटी दी है, तो we always say God has given a sixth sense or maybe another added benefit, another added ability to the child. हमारे साथ भी भगवान एक चीज करता है. If we are short of one thing, we have something extra. Same is the case with my children. So let's explore through this diagram the role of a teacher. The first most important role of a teacher is to have a positive attitude. If the teacher has a positive attitude, then she is able to spread that positivity in her classroom. Let's look into ourselves. Are we positive? We all say generally that yes, we are positive. But am I sarcastic in my class? Yes, most of us are most of the times. बहुत छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं which we spell out in the classroom. I enter a class, ask for the homework, and then there'll be 2-3 defaulters standing. And हम लोग शायद सोचते भी नहीं है before I spell out, मुझे पता था आप तो करके आएंगे नहीं. You ask for the homework and you name 2-3 children. You stand up, you stand up, you stand up. You must not have done it. So we need to look at ourselves. Our children generally are expecting this kind of a behavior from us, which is not positive, which is not inclusivity. If I want my classroom to be inclusive, I need to have a control over my speech, wherein the most important thing is no sarcasm, not being judgmental. If I am not judgmental, if I at a very general level handle my class, I am positive and I spread positivity. The next is the teacher is able to identify diversities. Again, sit back and introspect. क्या आप सब अपनी क्लासेस में जितनी डाइवर्सिटीज हैं, अपनी क्लास के हर बच्चे की गुड्स एंड बैड्स या टैलेंट्स को जानते? इट हार्डली टेक्स 15 days. सेशन शुरू होता है फर्स्ट 15 days. इफ यू आर अ गुड ऑब्जर्वर, if you are a positive teacher, you will be able to bring out the goods and the bads in all your children and identify कि किसको किस तरह की प्रॉब्लम है और किसकी क्या स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं. And then as a inclusive teacher, you will use each of those powers or negativities as a tool to create your class. किसको मॉनिटर बनाना है आप डिसाइड करते हैं अपनी क्लासेस में. किसको किस तरह का मॉनिटर बनाना है. हम लोग एक जनरल सोच के चलते हैं कि इस बच्चे का दिमाग बहुत ज्यादा चलता है, बहुत हाइपर एक्टिव है, मैं इसको कोई ऐसा काम दे देती हूँ कि ये बच्चा क्लास में इन्वॉल्व रहे. दैट इज इंक्लूसिविटी इन माई क्लासरूम. देन ऑल आर इंक्लूडेड इन ऑल एक्टिविटीज. किसी को बैकड्रॉप डेवलप करने के लिए दे दिया. मेरा कोई बच्चा अच्छा ओरेटर नहीं है, तो मैं उसको कुछ ड्राइंग बनाने के लिए या प्लैकार्ड बनाने के लिए दे देती हूँ. मेरा कोई और बच्चा ड्राइंग में अच्छा नहीं है, मैं उसको बाकी बच्चों को मैनेज करने के लिए या प्रैक्टिस कराने के लिए इन्वॉल्व कर देती हूँ. कहीं पर पीयर लर्निंग. वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ पीयर लर्निंग and peer group formation. We put opposites together and create a group. Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. That is your expertise, how you are creating an inclusive classroom. Then collaborate with the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders for us? Our parents. And what is education today? When we speak of inclusivity, it is not just including every child, it is including every parent. Because we are into a partnership with our parents. When I speak of inclusivity, I have to include the strengths, the weaknesses, the potentials, the backgrounds, the resources of all my parents. I should know each one of them. A small way of doing that is prepare a Google sheet, send it across to all your parents, wherein they spell out their strengths, where do they work, how can they be useful to the school. किसी को मेकअप करना आता है, किसी पेरेंट को, किसी पेरेंट की को डेक्लेमेशन और डिबेट्स की तैयारी करानी आती है, किसी पेरेंट को एक स्क्रिप्ट लिखनी आती है. सो उनकी स्ट्रेंथ्स को यूटिलाइज करो, उनके बच्चे और साथ में 4 बच्चे और देके स्टार्ट इन्वॉल्विंग देम. When a parent is involved in the classroom, that is an inclusive classroom. And it is also good for us teachers. It is under the table that I'm telling you. When we include parents, half our work is done, because then the parent won't come and complain, because parent is there in your classroom. Parent knows the difficulties and the problems and the challenges that you face. And जब बाहर का element कम disturbing होगा, तो आपको क्लास में काम करना आसान होगा. Because as teachers, हमारी biggest problem क्या होती है, हम आधा टाइम पेरेंट्स की काउंसलिंग करते रहते हैं. अगर पेरेंट इन्वॉल्व हो जाएगा तो उसको काउंसलिंग की जरूरत नहीं है. तब वो समझता है कि हाउ इंपॉर्टेंट अ रोल यू आर प्लेइंग. तब वो समझता है कि मेरे बच्चे को क्या मिल रहा है. What all is the teacher giving my child? Then the parent is able to recognize his child. Another problem that we face is, अगर बच्चा बहुत ज्यादा झूठ बोलता है, बहुत ज्यादा शरारती है, या बहुत ज्यादा राउडी लैंग्वेज यूज करता है, पेरेंटल एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं होती. पेरेंट ऑलवेज सेज कि मेरा बच्चा ऐसा नहीं कर सकता. When they are involved in the classroom, they understand how my child behaves, how other children behave, how good they are, how nasty they can be, and how they can bully each other. They may look very peaceful, very quiet, and very scared at home, but their reality is showcased in that big group. So this inclusivity helps making our role more important and more clear, and I'll be able to create an inclusive classroom. Then another way of creating an inclusive classroom, or the role that a teacher plays, is curriculum as well as pedagogical adaptations. जब आप अपनी क्लास के हर बच्चे को आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते हो, तो 2 आपके लिए स्कूल आपका करिकुलम डिजाइन करके देता है. आपके प्रिंसिपल, आपकी इंचार्जेस, दे डू द वर्क. बट अगेन, जब करिकुलम और पेडागोजी की डिजाइनिंग का फ्रीडम टू वर्क विद इन द क्लासरूम है, वो फ्रीडम आप एक्सरसाइज कर सकते हैं अपनी क्लास के अलग अलग लेवल्स को इम्प्लीमेंट करके, अलग अलग लेवल्स को देख के, दैट मेरे करिकुलम में मैं आर्ट का एलिमेंट ज्यादा डालूं, क्या इंटीग्रेट करूं। हो सकता है मेरी क्लास के मैक्सिमम बच्चे थिएट्रिकल प्रोसेसेस को ज्यादा समझते हैं, या कोई चीज विजुअल उसमें आती है तो ज्यादा समझते हैं, तो आप अपनी डिजाइनिंग ऑफ योर पेडागोजिकल प्लान उन लाइंस पे कर सकते हैं। कुछ बच्चे आपकी क्लास के हो सकता है और पेरेंट्स भी ऐसे हों जो डिजिटली बहुत ज्यादा एक्टिव हों या बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपर्ट हों, तो आप अपनी क्लास को टोटली डिजिटाइज कर सकते हो, जिससे यू विल बी एबल टू रीच आउट टू अ लार्जर नंबर। आपके किस तरह के लर्नर्स हैं, काइनेस्थेटिक हैं, या व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ लर्नर यू हैव इन द क्लास, इन अकॉर्डेंस यू कैन डिजाइन एंड यू कैन अडेप्ट इट टू द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द different identifications that you have done in your classroom. And then it comes to creating teaching aids. अगेन इंक्लूसिविटी है। बीएड में हमें सिखाया जाता है कि सारे टीचिंग एड्स हम खुद ही बनाएंगे, बट इंक्लूसिविटी सेज इन्वॉल्व योर चिल्ड्रन। टेढ़ा बनाए, उधर का बनाए, सीधा स्क्वायर ना बनाए, किसी भी तरह का बनाए, हैंड्स ऑन। लेट एवरीबडी ब्रिंग द मटेरियल, have days, have classes where children are creating all the teaching aids that you require, all placards, every single thing inside your class is designed and created by the children. You are what? Just a facilitator. You give them a basic idea. There are so many videos available nowadays. Unko koi cheez dikha do. Let them create. It creates an inclusive classroom and it is experiential learning. And then finally, the assessment adaptations. What do you do in your assessment adaptations? एक अच्छा टीचर जब अपना पेपर बनाता है या टेस्टिंग करता है, खाली एक क्वेश्चन पेपर बना के नहीं करता है। आप क्विज बनाते हैं। कौन बनाएगा क्विज? आपके बच्चे बनाएंगे। Let them come up with the questions. Give them that competition. कुछ क्वेश्चंस इस ग्रुप ने बनाए, कुछ क्वेश्चंस इस ग्रुप ने बनाए। They ask, they answer. They ask, they answer. So that way, they have created the questions. You just facilitate that. Other than this, children come up with beautiful PPTs also. As they grow up, छोटे हैं, so you again collaborate with the stakeholders. Let the parents do that work. The classroom that you are ultimately going to have is a inclusive classroom. And everything has to be with patience and with love. गंदा काम करके देंगे, नहीं करके देंगे, delayed करके देंगे. That's where your role comes in. How you motivate them, how you are able to counsel them. There, the most important thing is compassion. Remember, stand in their shoes. उनको आता नहीं है, उनको आपने गाइड करना है। इस पेरेंट को नहीं आता, पेरेंट्स की कोलैबोरेशन करवाइए। एक पेरेंट डिजाइनिंग अच्छा करता है, एक पेरेंट कंप्यूटर पे काम अच्छा करता है। लेट देम मर्ज टुगेदर एंड लेट देम डू द वर्क। देयर इज अ कंपटीशन, देयर इज अ डांस कंपटीशन, लेट द पेरेंट्स कम विद देयर चिल्ड्रन। There's a cooking competition. Supposing you are teaching food or ingredients, have a cooking competition. Let the parents be involved in that. Each child, each parent, each variety, not the right parent. इसका parent उसके साथ, उसका parent उसके साथ. It is automatically it leads to inclusivity. Now, how does an inclusive classroom look like? You can see chaos all around in this picture. What is the life of this classroom? It's diversity. Inclusion is its character because this class is full of individuals. If you look carefully at the picture, some are making faces, somebody is sticking out the foot, somebody is giggling, somebody is mumbling, somebody is reading a comic, somebody is scratching the desk, somebody is sleeping, and somebody is eating the lunch. We have all done that. We've all had classrooms of that sort. And how have our teachers dealt with the classroom? The teacher would come to the class and shout. Or maybe we've also experienced our teachers banging the duster on the table. So how do you create an inclusive classroom over here? What do you do over here?
Ma'am, we divide the children in groups and then assign one group, each group one work. And then we assess themselves according to the work given. And then I ask them to give marks to their work, collaboration, as well as the surrounding where they were supposed to work without fighting and making any kind of faces or asking each other, bullying each other. Then at the end, appreciation in the form of small stars and smileys, or sometimes chocolates.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When
Yes.
almost everybody or 40 of them are into
No,
this
ma'am.
kind of
80% only.
a,
Yes.
so I would like a voting system over here. The question is that is diversity a hindrance or is it the spirit and life of a classroom? So again, it would totally depend upon the teacher. Let's poll for it. Is it a hindrance or is it the spirit and life of a classroom? Wow, it's so heartening to see that almost all of us unanimously accept that it is the spirit and the life of a classroom because we are dealing with living beings. We are not dealing with commodities. We are not the corporate sector. We are a sector because a parent often comes and says and questions and basically bays, I pay so much fee, what am I getting in return? You treated that child like this. When it came to my child, you were not sympathetic, you were not empathetic, you were not compassionate. We need to remind ourselves as well as the parents that I am dealing with a human being. And the yardstick with which I deal or with which I handle is going to be different for every child. As mothers, we do it and at our home also. If we have two children, handling of both the children is different. And generally, they have these complaints. Ki mama usko zyada, she's partial towards that child. You know what happens is that when I have a weak child at home or in my class, I always am more preferential towards that child. Why? Because there is where compassion comes in. That's where I require to give that child a little more support as compared to the one who already has that extra potential. So yes, it's beautiful to see this result that yes, everybody is in agreement that yes, they are all the life and the spirit of our classrooms. I'm generally reminded of a poem which I heard in a kindergarten classroom that the Lord God asks the parent when the parent comes with the child that whose child is this? The parent, when you have a newborn child or maybe a toddler or maybe a child who's 3 years old going to school says that it's mine, given by Lord to look after. And then when the child is taken to the school, the God again asks, whose child is this? A teacher enters the classroom and says, mine. For the time she or he is here in school, maybe 13, 14 years. And then what happens is the parent also comes in and then they both hold their hands and say that this beloved and blessed task is ours. We are in partnership and in inclusion, compassionately and lovingly, we are going to groom this one individual into an individual of whom the nation and each one of us is going to be proud. So how does a teacher create her miracle class? I call these inclusive classrooms as miracle classrooms because we see miracles happening there. Every day, one soul, one heart, one person coming in, getting involved. We start with half the class crying in the beginning in nursery section. In the senior lot, we see when a new child comes to the class, having her tiffin, his or her tiffin alone in the corner. You as a teacher counsel your children to catch hold of that child, go and counsel them. You try to help them include that child in their groups. Senior classes, teenagers do not mingle up easily. They do not include children easily in them. She equips herself with the tool of compassion and love, and she uses these to design, structure her inclusive class. So now comes the real role of looking at how compassion works. Because it's very easy to say कि compassionate रहो, patient रहो, loving रहो, और हमें लगता है as mothers हम वो हैं. Then an important question comes to mind is that all lovey-dovey. Then how can I groom a child? The child would not listen to me. Let's explore how we are able to do this. The teacher teaches these to design each individual. In a miracle class, each angel, she grooms in her class. So it's like a ripple effect. compassion and love are infectious. If somebody loves you, you generally, if you have had a very loving and a very sweet and a patient upbringing from your parents, you generally are a different kind of a human being. And then nowadays, as teachers, we are lucky that we have that kind of an exposure. We know that we've been given this responsibility to pass this on and first imbibe it in ourselves and then pass it on to our children and through the children to the society, because this is the debt that we have to pay. A compassionate teacher first needs to remember, as we were discussing earlier, not being sarcastic, not being judgmental, keeping a check on every faculty of hers. For each one of us, our teachers have been like gods. Similar is the case with our children today also, even if they are the beta children, even if they are the AI generated ones, still, ma'am ki jagah ma'am ki hi hoti hai. We generally see parents have been instrumental in somewhere negating the influence of a teacher. But again, they generally come to us and even in today's day and time say कि मैम आप बोलिए आपकी सुनेगी या आपकी सुनेगा. बहुत सारी चीजें parents कहते हैं, but we take our parents for granted. Even we do that. But when our teacher said that, we were in agreement with it. A compassionate teacher creates compassionate individuals in the classroom because हमारे बच्चे हमें copy करते हैं. Every single thing, the way you dress up, the way you put your hand through your hair, the way you walk, the way you put your spectacles, the way you put it up, every single thing they copy. Let them be teenagers, let them be toddlers, let them be of any age group. And it is your love and compassion which attracts that, and hence to keep you happy and to stay up in your eyes and to stay at a level in your heart, they would do anything. Hence, that compassion is infectious. You are rude, the child would be rude. Because you are basically the mirror in which the child is pouring out whatever he's seeing. Then a compassionate individual of your class creates the entire class in a compassionate way because it is infectious. You ever seen how we clap? With both our hands. If one hand is soft and good, the other one, however hard he is or she is still going to be into a softer scenario. So it is again infectious and it would finally attract. That's the quality of love and compassion, that however harsh the other person may be, you would one fine day be able to mellow him or her down to being compassionate and loving. And when this class goes home, it's the family which gets infected. It's the entire set of parents, grandparents and everyone. Because जब बच्चा टोकता है, एक बहुत छोटी सी चीज है, हम लोग कचरे की बात करते हैं. जब स्वच्छता अभियान शुरू किया हमने, we started teaching our children कि कार की विंडो खोल के हाथ बाहर करके कचरा नहीं फेंकना है. 90% parents come and tell us कि आज मेरी बहुत चौक हो गई. I have that habit as a parent. विंडो खोली, डालने लगा तो बच्चे ने बोला नो पापा मेरी कंट्री गंदी हो जाएगी. Because you taught it. So these are small things which come. So you teach that to the child goes home, teaches it to the parent, infects the parent with that. The parent goes out into the society and the society becomes compassionate. So it's like a chain reaction. From that society, each one of us comes. So we start somewhere with every single drop that we are pouring of compassion in our classrooms is going out to our society and is going to come back to us. Either in the form of our teachers, in the form of people coming to us, giving us services. And the most important thing is most of us, if we have been around in schools for many years, have alumni as parents. If we have groomed them well, those alumni would be the most loving and compassionate parents we would have. So whom are we ultimately helping by this kind of an inclusivity? Ourselves. Our profession becomes easier. Everything becomes easier for us. So it is compassion and love, which is the magic and which does the magic in our classrooms. Please move to the next slide. A sample of inclusive classroom where the magic of compassion flows and molds the future. the future of my country, the future of my society, and the future around me. This is just a sample which we have experimented in our school. Each one of us has been doing something or the other at different levels. The day starts with a choice of wishing as they enter the inclusive classroom. I would like you to play the video, please. Yes, this is one way. There are hundreds of ways, and I think as teachers, each one of us must have devised something or the other. Maybe something in the classroom. Maybe you start with an activity which basically has something of this sort. So this is one small thing that whatever has come from home, maybe scoldings, maybe an unhappy parent, maybe some kind of a sadness or some kind of a quarrel at home. So you undo that and you include everyone in your classroom. You start the day that way. And then we have in our school a silence period, which is basically a weekly silence practice. And what we do is, as the name suggests, silence and stillness. Say, for example, on day one, or maybe the first week that I practice is 2 minutes of silence of the tongue. Then next week, I try 2 minutes of silence of my tongue and my body. And it's not easy. Try it someday with yourself. We'll do it now for a minute. That not even a single section of your body should move, including your eyes. So the best way is shut your eyes, or fine, you can leave it to the eyes, but for the rest of your body, whether there are itches, whether there are aches or pains, whether you have a desire to scratch, just try this kind of a silence. The next we practice is silence of the mind. We ask them to shut their eyes, not wag their tongue. 2 मिनट बात नहीं करनी है, 2 मिनट कुछ भी हिलना नहीं चाहिए. जैसे स्टैचू करते थे बचपन में. It was a beautiful game we used to play, statue. And then till the time the other person would not ask you to stop. And then silence of the mind, wherein no thoughts. It's a beautiful exercise. What it does is it balances all your energies. And it's a beautiful game. Children love to play it. And then finally, what I achieve is a silent me. A me who listens, wherein my class would not be a class as we saw in that picture earlier. Somebody howling, somebody scratching, somebody tearing your paper, somebody trying to throw somebody off or so. So this is the kind of practice with which you can start your day and even end your day with the same. We call it meditation in a way. So whatever we have practiced throughout the 3 weeks, the fourth week we practice that. And in the kindergarten section, we've been very successfully been able to do it. So your children, it is also a very beautiful way of controlling hyperactivity nowadays. So can we all try it for a minute? And then I would like reactions from you people. We are done. Yes. So was it easy? The ones who have a practice of meditating, maybe a little bit. But again, as teachers, as grown-ups, because we have been groomed in such a way, so keeping your tongue under control for a minute or two is fine. Then keeping your body not easy. From your toe till the tip, till your head. Every single part, not easy. But the most difficult thing is your mind. And mind runs. Mind runs around. So if we start teaching our children this from the very beginning, half your problem of having a class which is under your control or which is beautifully, lovingly, and compassionately with you, that is possible. So this is one practice which we can start in our classrooms. We do it now. We've reached class 6. We started it a few years back. We started with the kindergarten. I tried it in the higher classes. It wasn't easy even with the teachers, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. So gradually we've started and we are growing. So our children from the beginning, from the nursery section to the top, are gradually settling on it. We do meditation. We do Om Uchcharan and things like this. There are different ways of doing it. But yes, it is always best to start at the grassroots levels and then let it go up. So these children are coming up with that. So whatever change, whatever new thing that you wish to introduces it all along, but it is most effective at the base level. And then you have individuals who are growing into that kind of a system. Then compassion basically grows through your classroom. We also have a small scenario where what we practice is we all do our prayers in the morning in the school. So we design our prayers, keeping one kind of a value, one kind of a theme into mind. We design our prayers. There are prayers which already exist. There are beautiful things which are produced by Kumaris and by different kinds of groups. So what we can do is we pick them up from there, pick the base value, and on the same tune, ask your Hindi teachers or English teachers to rewrite that. So we've tried it. I'll give you a sample of that. I would like you to play the video of daily prayer songs.
जैसा सोचोगे तुम वैसे ही बन जाओगे, जैसा कर्म होगा वैसा ही फल पाओगे। श्रेष्ठ कर्म का आधार है खुद का कर लो दर्शन, यही जीवन का सार है, यही जीवन का सार है। जैसा सोचोगे तुम वैसे ही बन जाओगे। ये मत कहो प्रभु से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा प्रभु बड़ा है। आती है आंधियाँ तो करो उनका खैर मकदम, आती है आंधियाँ तो करो उनका खैर मकदम। तूफान से ही तो लड़ने प्रभु ने तुझे जड़ा है, ये मत कहो प्रभु। मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है। न मिलती अगर दी हुई दात तेरी तो क्या थी ज़माने में औकात मेरी। तुम्ही ने तो जीने के काबिल किया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है। एक ऐसे जहाँ को रचे, एक ऐसे जहाँ को रचे, एक ऐसे जहाँ को रचे।
Over the last 12 years, we've been able to develop almost 12 such prayers. Like the first prayer, Jaisa Sochoge Tum. So what happens is every day for a week, if you are running through something which is knocking at their mind, so they remember it and they basically go on through the day with that. So controlling your thoughts and guiding your thoughts, that's the message. Then Ye Mat Kaho Prabhu se aajkal ek major problem hai, blame games and cribbing. We do it as adults. Our children also do it. They learn from home. They learn from us. हर बात पे शिकायत, गर्मी बहुत है, ठंड बहुत है, whatever is happening अच्छा नहीं है. So when you are knocking at their head, at their mind every day, So when you speak something, when you see something around you, that is a kind of knocking and remembrance. It would touch the heart. Then मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है. Gratitude. मेजर प्रॉब्लम है, मेरे पास तो कुछ नहीं है, मेरे फ्रेंड के पास ये है, मेरे पड़ोसी के पास ये है. पेरेंट्स डू इट, दे सी देयर पेरेंट्स डूइंग इट एवरी डे. अरे उसके पास इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी आ गई, पता नहीं उसके पास इतना सामान कहाँ से आता है. दैट काइंड ऑफ अ cribbing they see at home. We as teachers also grumble. Sometimes if a message comes or maybe a circular comes to the class and when the maid comes for it to be signed, we mumble. Children catch it. They note it. They see your expressions. So these are small touches and small knocks that you can have in your classroom, where it again helps in including children of all kinds into your class. You're sending a message. आप गलत सोचोगे उस बच्चे के बारे में, आपकी क्लास के दूसरे मैम ये बहुत नॉटी है. कई बच्चों को बहुत आदत होती है that they would quickly finish their work and start poking. Ma'am, see what she's doing. Ma'am, she's copying. She's doing this. She's doing that. And always cribbing. She's broken my pencil. She's taken my book. She's spoiled my book. They'll do it themselves, but they would blame someone else. So how does your class become a class where each child is ready to give space to the other child? Prayers are another way of doing that. You start your day with that. And then there's a beautiful phenomena which was developed a few years back, and there's a small movie also on it. We can quickly go through it. What it says is that you have a small gratitude jar in your class. Ask the child every day. Each child has to write down something on it without writing their names. That what am I thankful to God about? And put that small slip inside the jar. End of the week, the teacher opens the jar and reads out all the things. And then as children, we start connecting कि मैंने ये लिखा तो नहीं था, पर हाँ, मेरे पास ये है. And thank you, God. And then we go through an exercise where for every small thing which is mentioned in that jar, we speak it up and are thankful and we acknowledge it. So that again gives you tolerance to accept each other. It leads to compassion. It leads to love. It leads to remembrance that I am a good human being and I should be thankful for this. So I would like a small exercise to be taken up here. We would stop for half a minute or a minute and jot down the gratitudes that we can remember of immediately, what comes to our mind, that what all are the things for which we are thankful. We'll just see the number, not what we are thankful for. कि half a minute में we'll have 30 seconds please. 30 seconds में हम कितने सारे thanks इकट्ठे कर पाए या सोच पाए. चलो, we can start our time now. I think our time is up. We start with Shami ma'am. How many gratitudes were you able to gather?
I didn't count. I was just thinking about the things, and one after the other, so many things tumbled my mind. So
Was
so it would be at least 30, maybe more, because the thoughts were running so quickly. अरे ये भी है, ये भी है, ये भी है, ये भी है, ये
Was it easy?
Yes, it was.
And for rest of us, Neena ma'am, was it easy?
Ma'am, it took some time.
This is the habit that we need to develop amongst our children and amongst ourselves also. You know, when they cry in the morning, I often say that the most important thing for which we have to be thankful is that God ने मुझे साबुत बनाया है.
Yes, ma'am.
I have two eyes. I told this to one of my students. She said, "Ma'am, मैं चश्मा पहनती हूँ." मैंने कहा, again, and most important thing to be thankful for is that I have two eyes, I can see, I have a little defect, I can afford to buy spectacles. You're wearing spectacles? Thank you, God. Because there would be people who have defect in their eyes, but do not have money to have treatment.
Exactly.
Or their parents do not acknowledge that. Or their parents just have not been able to identify that.
Mm.
Then sometimes we have EWS, economically weaker section children. Their parents may not be able to afford spectacles. So that's again a beautiful thing. One child said, "Ma'am, मेरे हाथ में ना 6 fingers हैं." मैं कहा, again thankful. 5 तो थे ना, उससे ज्यादा ही है, कम तो नहीं है. I have this almost in the right place. Thoda kam zyada alag hai. I might not be able to learn things in one go, but again, thank you God. Another one crib that मेरी मम्मी मेरे पीछे पड़ जाती है, खाना खाओ, खाना खाओ, खाना खाओ. Thank God that I have a mother. Another said मेरी मम्मी बहुत criticize करती है. Thank God again I have a mother. Ask those who do not have a mother. Somebody to check you, somebody to ask something. मुझे स्कूल में मजा नहीं आता है. Thank God आप स्कूल तो जाते हो, आप गली में नहीं घूमते हो. You are not left on the road by somebody. You at least have a place to go to. You have a place you can express yourself. Another one said, ma'am, I stammer. But rest of your faculties are there. You are able to convey it to your friends. And that's what I'm teaching rest of my class. That be thankful that you do not stammer. And give her that kind of a support that God has given you, that ability that you can give somebody that support, that the child comes out of that. So we can again create so many things for which we are grateful. We are grateful that there is sun. We keep cribbing, अरे इंडिया में बहुत गर्मी होती है, अरे इंडिया में इतनी ठंड हो जाती है. Thank God we enjoy all the seasons. There are countries जहाँ खाली ठंडी ठंड होती है. There are countries जहाँ इक्वेटर पे है, खाली गर्मी होती है.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you God for everything.
For every season that's been given. So there is so much to be thankful for. And that gratitude attitude helps in creating an inclusive classroom. That's what we can do. And it's a daily exercise which we should be doing with ourselves. We should ask our children of every age group to find that. Half your battle is won as a teacher. जब आपके बच्चे थैंकफुल होना शुरू कर देंगे, वो क्रिप करना बंद कर देंगे. आपको क्लास को हैंडल करना ज्यादा आसान हो जाएगा. Then they would start understanding the shortcomings in other individuals and would start respecting them and appreciating themselves and thanking God for what they have and the other one doesn't. And then they become compassionate and go and help those children. So you'll be able to create an inclusive classroom. Then there are other ways of, again, spreading these kind of things, not just gratitude. All other attitudes can be done by using your classroom as a tool. Using your classroom, there's a concept called Bala. I would like you to move to the next slide, please. You see this classroom here in the picture? It basically, every section of the wall and every area, at the bottom, we have a blackboard, wherein if there are young children in the class, they are given freedom to express themselves. So whatever they wish to, irrespective of their drawing skills, irrespective of their language or whatever. Then rest of the class has been used as a teaching aid, building as a teaching aid or a learning aid. So what happens is children learn by visuals. Whatever you want to teach them, make them make those hangings, those placards, those puppets, those creative things, those aids, teaching aids, and hang them and stick them all around you. Hang them and stick them outside your classroom. We use the concept of Bala in our school, not just in the classroom, all through the corridors. Like I wish my children to speak in English because English is a language which doesn't come from home much, except for a handful of parents. So time to time, when there is the month when we celebrate Rashtra Bhasha Divas, we put placards and notices all around that Rashtra Bhasha Hindi, chalo aaj isme bole. Then you learn a language by speaking in it, speak in English. So when you look towards your left side, you find a placard. When you look towards your right side, you find a placard. As you climb up the stairs, we put the reasons for which I can laugh today. And there are 11 steps. The top step has a small writing written on the footstep, reasons for which I can laugh today. And we put down 10 reasons there. Children do it in the classroom also. Then we call them sight words also. अपने जो छोटी classes को पढ़ाते हैं, they would understand that. So every nook and corner, we have corridors wherein children would move around and in a haphazard way. So what we have done, wherever there's a turn in the corridor or wherever we are going towards our left or right, we have put a small board there, keep to your left. So it's in an auto mode that my entire school moves towards the left. So they don't bang into each other. Because up and down, right and left, they would find such a thing. So use your building, use your area as a teaching aid. So whatever you want to teach, whatever you want to be included in, use it as a equipment. This is a beautiful concept which was developed by one of the CBSE chairpersons, Bala Subramaniam ji. It was called building as a learning aid, teaching aid. There's a sample. How now we move to the inclusion, a small video through which we can understand that how a teacher handles differences in her classroom. I would like you to play the video.
Fair isn't when everyone gets the same. Fair is when everyone gets their needs met.
This is an inclusive classroom wherein the teacher plays that safe game. Children might at times feel that उसके साथ मैम ने partiality कर दी, उसको तो 2 bench दे दिए, मेरे नीचे एक ही रखा या मेरे नीचे से हटा लिया. But that is where compassion comes. When you train your children towards compassion, now the teacher removes it and keeps it under the other child. Gradually, towards the end of the year, your children would start doing it. And when that is done, your class is an inclusive classroom. Please move to the next slide. Now, a compassionate teacher leads by example. What are the different examples which we need to set in our classroom? We need to always remember this, my attitude. What kind of an attitude I show towards my children, what kind of an attitude I show towards my own self, my colleagues, and everyone else, my parents of my children. The children notice that and they learn from that. My expressions. हमें कई बार लगता है मैंने मुंह से बोला नहीं, किसी को क्या पता चलेगा. बच्चे हमारी बॉडी लैंग्वेज पढ़ते हैं. They are very good with that. आज मैम नाराज लग रही हैं, आज मैम खुश लग रही हैं, आज मैम को गुस्सा आ रहा है. So that filters into your classroom. So again, that is one thing which we have to be careful with. Then our speech. Speech basically means the intonations, the way we sometimes हम बहुत झल्ला जाते हैं. We don't even realize. हमें कई बच्चे बहुत nag करते हैं बार बार. Again and again they would ask questions. I would say no, I would not answer your question. Please keep quiet. So there are ways of handling it. So you have to be compassionate on these levels. Then how do you handle a situation? Are you triggered by it? The most important thing for a teacher is that she acts. She doesn't react. We need to remember, हम बच्चे handle कर रहे हैं. They are kids, 18 years, 16 years, 17 years, 3 years. So end of the day, वो बच्चे हैं. So our handling is going to be very important. So actions versus reactions. Most of us generally react. We need to take a deep breath and then think and then act. And sometimes we also have to procrastinate our action. आपके सामने कुछ हुआ, किसी बच्चे ने कोई चीज की, उस टाइम रिएक्ट नहीं करना है और एक्ट भी नहीं करना है. गिव देम टाइम. यू नो, दे लर्न फ्रॉम दैट. जब आप एकदम जवाब नहीं देते हैं और चुप हो जाते हैं, बच्चों को पता होता है हमने गलती की है, और जिसने की होती है उसे भी पता होता है, और वो अगले दिन तक वेट करता है. यार मैम अभी भी नहीं बोली, मैम ने अभी भी कुछ नहीं कहा. जनरली आपके एक्शन से पहले वो बच्चा आके आपको सॉरी बोल के जाता है. So there are ways how you are handling and taking it up. Then expression of trust. Show trust in your children. So that's the most important thing. हम लोग बहुत जल्दी judgmental हो जाते हैं. Let's not be that. And the language that we use. कई बार हर टीचर का एक तकिया कलाम होता है. I remember my son coming home and telling me, I told, there was some problem once with one of the teachers. He was not very happy about something. So I told him, मैं जाके ना PTM पे बात करूंगी. कहता नहीं उन मैम से बात नहीं करना, वो ना हड्डियां तोड़ देती हैं. हिंदी की टीचर थी, उनका तकिया कलाम था, जैसे बच्चे कुछ भी करते थे, ठहरो मैं तुम्हारी हड्डियां तोड़ूंगी. So she would very naturally or in a very casual way say this. And a class 2 child took it very seriously. कि नहीं वो ऐसा कर देंगी. So as teachers, we should be very, very careful about the language that we are using. Please move to the next slide. Now, a teacher who is compassionate doesn't mean that she is not going to be disciplined. Discipline and compassion, there's a borderline difference. There's a borderline which has to be taken care of, because though the saying is not relevant today that you spare the rod and spoil the child, we don't need the rod, but we need to be firm. There's a beautiful vitamin which generally the doctors do not speak of, but there's a deficiency of that amongst our children. Vitamin N, that is listening to no. तो उन्हें ना सुनना नहीं आता है. मम्मी पापा ने भी नहीं सिखाया है, हर इच्छा हर चीज पूरी हो जाती है, एक एक दो दो बच्चे हैं, so everybody does that, and as teachers हम भी generally we let it go. But that's where we have to be careful. So the best way of doing is that everything that you're doing in a classroom, fix up a learning outcome for that. If a learning outcome is, that is a goal which has been set. So every action of yours, every concept that you're teaching, everything that you're doing has to be revolving around that. Then your pedagogical planning has to be integrated. Integrated in such a way that each and every child is included and becomes a part of it. Now for achieving this, make up class rules. Who makes the rules? Include your class to make the rules. Start with the naughtiest child of your class. क्या rule बनाएंगे? उनको involve करो, हमारी class के क्या rules हैं? Of course, as a teacher, you are big enough and mature enough to mold the children around what you want them to do. But let it be participatory. Let them participate into that. And then see how it works. They will never break the rules because they've made them. So it's their choice. And they would neither do it themselves and neither would they allow the other children of their class to do it. So that is inclusivity again. Compassion as a baseline has to be there. But again, no compromise on discipline. Then discipline and compassion go hand in hand. I would like you to play this video, please.
What parents need to know is, number one, that disciplining children is absolutely essential. You have to discipline. You don't discipline your child, you're raising a miserable creature. They won't be able to say no to themselves. So yes, disciplining is absolutely essential. But don't discipline on the spur of the moment. Discipline with a plan, premeditated. You see your child doing something wrong that needs to be corrected. I'm not talking about something dangerous where you need intervention. But the child lies, the child is greedy, the child is cruel, and you want to fix that. Well, don't just shout at them when you catch them red-handed, because then they're not listening. They're busy defending themselves. Wait till the next day. Discipline with confidence, not with anger. If you mention the next day, you know, yesterday when you did that to your friend, it's not the way, it's wrong, and you explain it. The fact that you were thinking about it since yesterday is in a way a compliment to the child. You've been thinking about me all day, and it makes the issue sound much more serious than if you simply react on the spur of the moment. One of the problems with that is that if you don't react on the spur of the moment, by the next day you've forgotten and you never get to discipline it. So you have to have discipline yourself, that you won't forget the next day at the dinner table, when everybody's calm, you very casually say, that was not good. The kid will love you for it. If you discipline on the spur of the moment, the kid is afraid of you. So do it wisely and you'll get very good results.
So what would we like our children to do? We would like them to love us. And that's when we'll be able to create an inclusive classroom. Hence, plan the discipline. So one of the planning is that let the children plan the parameters of that discipline. And I think your class would be a magical class. Then teach them responsibility and teach them that rights se pehle duties aati hain. I would like you to play the next video also.
How do you create mental toughness in a child who's born into a successful family?
Don't do too much for them. This is very important. If you do too much for them, you will steal. their self-esteem. So when they give you a problem, don't go fix it for them. Give it back to them.
I would like you to move to the slide again. Yes. There's a beautiful story which we've always, I think most of us must have heard it. It's a story of a person who saw a cocoon and a butterfly or a larva in one of his pots, and he started observing it, and he saw one fine day that something had started coming out of it. A head and a set of eyes were peeping out of it. So he was so fascinated by the whole thing, and then he saw the struggling being inside it. So what he did was he cracked it open and let the insect come out of it. The insect started rolling in that pot, and after a few days it died off. And he went into to one of his botanist friend and asked him that what happened, what exactly happened. So he said that it is a process through which the child goes, or through which the butterfly goes, and the butterfly was supposed to struggle in that cocoon and in that egg, and gradually push open the egg, come out of the shell, and that pushing would have helped its hands, or basically the wings, to come out. And that pressure would have led to the development of that set of wings. And what did the person do? The person facilitated the entire being to come out of it and did not allow it to struggle and mature, did not give it that patience and that struggle. So what happened is that it did not survive. And it's beautifully said by one of the saints that what is the problem with parents today is that we clear the road for our children on which they are going to walk. As teachers, what should we do? We give them strong shoes, do not remove the thorns from the road, and then let them walk on the road. So that is what, as teachers, we have to do. When we have an inclusive classroom, our children get to learn to work with those struggles, with the struggles of another child, with their own struggles, and then they help in grooming each other. You are just a facilitator who is facilitating them to handle different kinds of struggles in that mini world of theirs, of your class. And they become stronger human beings. Now, tools for achieving and working in an inclusive classroom. Just a few tips. Stories and role plays, very important. Nature walks and connects. The first most important thing which teaches us compassion is love for nature. Children pluck flowers, children break or uproot plants. They would even prick insects, or even kill an ant, or maybe crumble something under their foot. So these are small things which a teacher can teach them while taking them through the nature. So take them for nature walks, let them connect with plants, let them go and passionately and patiently and lovingly observe them, not uproot them, not pluck them. छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, हमारे पेरेंट्स ने कभी हमें कहा था इनमें भी जान होती है, ये भी रोएंगे, don't do this. So these are small things. आप क्लास में बैठ के ब्लैकबोर्ड पे ड्रॉ करके दिखाएंगे, it will not help. How does that inclusivity, that compassion come? When you take them. So give them that experiential learning. Then the practice that we take up in our classes, we call it VBIL, CBIL, AIA, and TIE. VBIL is value-based integrated learning. Whatever I am teaching, I draw a value around it. So every child connects with a different kind of a value, depending upon his or her potential. CBIL, concept-based integrated learning. I'm teaching social science, I teach many more things. I'm not sticking myself to social science. I will bring in science, I will bring in a little bit of art, I will bring in some other subject, even mathematics if required. AIE is art in education. Art can be integrated with every subject, even sports. TIE, theater in education. I'll give you a small example of if you are teaching the chapter of air and atmosphere, or if you are teaching tenses, convert it into a family. Air is the grandfather, atmosphere is the grandfather, has a son called air. Air has sons, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and argon, and helium, and dust particles, and water vapors. And इनमें से एक बच्चा गंदा बच्चा है, शरारती बच्चा है, CO2. अब मैं उसको inclusive कैसे बनाऊंगी? गंदा है पर उसकी अपनी क्वालिटीज हैं, उसके बिना भी मेरा घर नहीं चलता है. So what are the qualities of carbon dioxide? How does nitrogen work? बहुत अच्छा है, पर बहुत ज्यादा होने पे बहुत डोमिनेट कर जाएगा तो आग लग जाएगी. So that's how you develop your chapter, you develop your concepts, let them have role plays. It includes the entire class. कोई ड्राइंग करेगा, कोई प्लाकार्ड बनाएगा, कोई बोल के बताएगा, कोई क्वेश्चन पूछेगा, कोई चीज डिजाइन करेगा. And now when I've tried this experiment in the classroom, most of my children do it themselves. I just have to give them the gist of the chapter. They create. So that creativity is also enhanced and the entire class is included in it. Then we celebrate joy of giving. Joy of giving में हर बच्चे को अपनी कोई पर्सनल प्यार करने वाली या अच्छी वाली चीज, फेवरेट चीज डोनेट करनी होती है किसी लेस प्रिविलेज्ड बच्चे के साथ. And we take them to the society wherein we have NGOs and wherever we have looped in and tie up with different kind of, and we have a orphanage also which we have taken under our wing. So our children contribute and anything, and then they narrate कि मेरी ये चीज मुझे कितनी पसंद थी और मैं इसको I'm parting with it, I'm sharing it. Patience test your own patience and test the patience of your group. There are different ways of doing it. You can do different kinds of exercises. Then toy pedagogy, a small sample. Please run this video.
There is a mini train track running around the top of the living room wall, and the door to his daughter's room has turned into a giant Tetris game console. It turns out that this is the father's way to keep his daughter from playing with her cell phone. So the father decided to turn the entire house into a toy world. In 6 years, the father continued to innovate and create various unique toys. Until now, he has succeeded in creating more than 200 to 300 toys. For example, a broken light switch is transformed into the door of the adorable Jerry Mouse's house, complete with a night light and sofa for him. Then a used water pipe becomes a space rocket, and a smoke pipe is turned into a cute pink dragon. All of these toys are made with love by the father's hands. That way, his little daughter not only gets entertainment, but also teaches that fun does not always have to come from a cell phone.
So this is one example. Somebody has done it at his home, and we, not at such a big level, but have been successful in doing it in our classrooms. So show and tell competitions and different kinds of things, children do it, and the stakeholders. Parents come to school, we provide the material, they sometimes bring the material. I have a father who has a factory of corrugated boxes. He provides boxes. Children, there's another one, he has a factory wherein he creates nuts and bolts. So he provides nuts and bolts. So different kinds of resources are pulled up from different sections, and then they create. So wherein everybody in some way or the other is included. Some do not contribute monetarily or in the form of material, they contribute in the form of doing it. Mothers come, they do the cutting and pasting. So it's on a Saturday or it's somewhere in one period for an hour that we are able to do it. So that's another way of doing it. Please move to the next slide. I would like you to play this video first, then we'll move to the slide.
Every child has the right to graduate with an I can mindset. When you meet a child anywhere in the world, they go from crawling to standing to running to thinking to laughing. And just when they're telling the world, look at me, I can, we send them to school. Right? And we say, oh, you can run? Sorry, you have to sit down. You can think and talk. That's wrong, you have to listen. That is what I encountered firsthand with my child. So I took him out of school. I said, I can do a better job. So when I took him out, I don't think it was with the big story of changing the world or, changing education and all of that. It was just my child. And at that time, I was running a design firm. The fact that I didn't come from education, I was not bothered by the size of what I was setting out to do. So that's really what allowed me to be audacious. As a designer, I was very inspired by design thinking. So to start by questioning the status quo is what design thinking tells us to do. It starts with empathy. It starts with the user. Who is it for? What does success look like? Okay, and then what should I do to ensure that I achieve it? So for the longest time, education has made the parent the primary stakeholder. Parent wants exam, parent wants homework, parent wants this. The children became incidental to the program. When you put the child back front and center, they will shape the story.
So, good morning everyone. It's time for the shout outs.
Our children became our designers right off. They designed the uniform, they became clients for the architect. It was a genuine collaboration. It was just that belief that it's your space.
So yes, this again is an ICANN model, which again can be brought at a miniature level into the classroom. So wherein it is 100% inclusivity. You can include every child as per his or her potential, less gifted or more gifted, and take them up in designing almost everything, your curriculum. They come up with beautiful ideas of experiential learning. You teach them a concept, ask them to come up with an idea, give them one trigger. उसके बाद हर चीज को मॉडल में कन्वर्ट करना, हर चीज को वॉकी टॉकी करना बच्चे का काम है. छोटे बच्चे भी करते हैं. आप उन्हें एक स्टोरी बताइए, they come up with an idea. You tell them a story, tell them to retell it. इतने fabulous and इतने funny ideas लेके आते हैं. They would say कि मैम आप उन्हें थर्स्टी क्रो की स्टोरी सुनाई, बीच में एक एड भी आई थी. We did it in our classroom. तो बच्चे ने बोला कि मैम हम स्ट्रॉ ले आते हैं. उसकी मम्मा ने उसको स्ट्रॉ नहीं दिया था. So we enacted it in the classroom. Then the tortoise and the hare, that slow and steady wins the race. So we wanted a twist in it. Then cap seller as well as the monkey wali story. So the design thinking was that they said that the cap seller died and he told his grandson the story. The monkeys died and they told their grandchildren the story. So when the cap seller, the grandson went into the jungle and he tried doing the same, the monkeys did not throw the caps. Why? Because the monkeys said कि आपके दादाजी ने आपको बताया था, तो हमारे दादाजी ने भी तो हमको सिखाया था कि भी हमने ऐसी गलती की थी, we will not repeat it. So इसलिए उन्होंने caps नहीं फेंकी. So the children came up with this idea. So इसीलिए again, this is one small example. There are so many things which we can do. Now we'll finish this session with a small video. I think some of us must have seen it. It is a class of rowdies, and that's what we face, and small example of how we can handle it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Today is my first day and I will be taking all your science subjects, so let's start off on a good note. Not that note, thank you. So let's start with a nice round of introductions. My name is Sakshi and I love working with young people.
Ma'am, my name is Anish. I was a topper last year. Ma'am, my IQ is 145 and I've got double promotion once.
My name is Andy. I like dancing.
My name is Chetan and I like to play the guitar.
Okay, everyone's done except the last roll number. Zara? Where is Zara?
Zara is a zombie. 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 Zara is a zombie.
Class, settle down. Gaurav, I'm gonna kill you.
Hi, how was your day?
rowdies, you do know that's the name the rest of the school has given you, right? This month, I will not lead the class. You will. Every day, 2 students will come here and present anything that they are passionate about. There is only one rule. You must show respect. So who is courageous enough to accept the challenge?
Ma'am, anything?
Yes, anything.
Our topic is everything you wanted to know about the birds and the bees.
But we're afraid to ask.
Sequined in the night sky as the stars shine, they tell a million stories, some of yours and a few of mine.
Today, we both will be teaching you the secret of flight by building a rocket. That balloon over there is also a rocket, but it does not go very far as it does not have any wings to give its flight a direction. So you see, in life, it is very important to have something
or someone.
Yes, or someone who can give you direction every time you're going astray.
It helps you go very far in life. Good morning, class. Today we have prepared a very interesting topic for the class. Today I'm going to tell you about the physics of dance. But before that, my friend here is going to give you a small demo.
Can I ask you something? Your class of rowdies has really changed. How did you manage it?
I haven't done anything. I just created a space where no one is judging them, where they can learn through their own interests. Hi class!
Good morning, ma'am.
So everyone's done with their session except Zara. Zara, come on. Zara! Zara!
Zara! Zara! Zara! Zara! Zara! Zara! Zara! Zara!
Every rowdy class has a voice, waiting to be heard, wanting to be understood, wishing to be loved. Thank you, ma'am, for listening to us. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for finding the reason for our rowdiness, for giving a channel to our craziness. Thank you, ma'am, for finding the poet in a zombie, and for setting me free, for letting me be. No matter where we go and what we do, we'll always carry in our hearts a part of you. Dear ma'am, thank you.
That's the magic which each one of us can unfurl and do. And that's exactly the kind of classes we have. So if she could do it, we can also do it. We can do even better than it. So we can promise to ourselves today, passion, compassion, and discipline can turn the class into a magical class. And then we can sit back after a few years when we become old and enjoy see such big places taken up by our alumni. And that is why when you move around somewhere and one fine day a child who's a grown-up one comes and says, "Ma'am, I remember you." That's what we want. And if we are able to create such classrooms, we can do that. And that's the big job that we teachers do. Seventh pay commission or not, eighth pay commission or not, but we are magical magicians who have been doing it and we will do it. Thank you, friends. Thank you.
This has been so phenomenal. इन्फेक्शन फैलाने के लिए, I mean, how we can spread this infection. कोरोना से तो हम दूर भागते हैं, but this kind of infection is a welcome infection. And thank you, Dr. Namita Sharma, for reminding us again that we all can do it. That kind of mindset that we generally, have, but kahin na kahin in the classrooms we
can.
Yes, I can. और साथ में compassion, kindness is possible even in today's time where everything is moving at such a fast pace and children have that digital information and they feel that they would like to challenge the teachers and still we can do it. So we are so happy that our educators are enjoying the different topics that we have chosen, and we are trying to bring in the best of the experts to talk about those sessions. And we were so very particular that we need to bring in Dr. Namita Sharma, though she didn't have time earlier, but we are so thankful that you could take out time and plan this evening with all of us today. बहुत अच्छा लगा। इसीलिए कहते हैं जब हम क से करुणा पढ़ेंगे तभी ज्ञ से ज्ञानी बनेंगे। इसके साथ में let us take this message home that we all are loving beings and we need to create loving beings around us for a loving society, because that's a cycle that we have to create. Thank you very much. Once again, Dr. Namita ma'am, आपकी जो mission है, जो theory है, I was reading that you believe in 360-degree growth of all the souls that you touch. We'll try to cultivate, bring it in our lives as well. With this, thank you very much. Have a good night.